Over the past few weeks, we've been struggling really bad with Billy's Nova. Ever since Billy spun the car around over at Brown County in the shutdown, the car has wanted to veer left. Eventually, we figured out that the anti-roll bar in the back of the car had become twisted. Billy was able to make some temporary repairs to get us by until we could bring the car from Hebron, Ohio to Hebron, Kentucky to Tin Soldiers race cars. Thankfully, it's only about a 2-hour drive down, and Jason and Brad have offered to install a brand new Tin Soldiers anti-roll bar kit while we wait. So we wasted no time unloading the Nova out of the trailer and bringing it in the shop. Once we brought the car inside, we couldn't help but take a look around at some of the other projects they've got going on. Charlie Brown, the 79 Malibu 4-door, was sitting in the showroom, as well as another car that you may recognize, the Gray Mare, Tony Politano's Fox Body Mustang from California. All the guys in the shop were busy at their workstations, building rear end housings or fabricating 4-link brackets and parts kits that Tin Soldiers ships out every day. Everything from anti-roll bar kits to gas pedal assemblies and everything in between. Jason's wife Tara was busy shipping out merch orders while I was in the shop filming. Once we made room in the shop for Billy's Nova, we got it put up on the lift, and Brad went ahead and pulled the old anti-roll bar kit out from underneath the car. Brad quickly realized that the new anti-roll bar kit from Tin Soldiers has shorter arms than the original kit that came out of the car, and therefore it's not going to fit in the same location. So we decided to mount the new one behind the rear axle instead of in front of it the way the old one was. Once Brad took some measurements, he laid the new kit out on a weld table and made sure everything was perfectly square before Jason started welding it up. Jason was very patient when welding this thing to not overheat the metal and cause anything to warp. Once they had it all welded up, it was time to fit it up underneath the car. Brad carefully mocks everything up and makes sure everything is square and evenly spaced on each side of the axle. Once he was satisfied, Jason came in and TIG welded everything up. Once Brad and Jason were finished welding it in, it was time to back the Nova off the rack, pull it out on the level concrete floor, lift the car up with jacks, and put it on scales, with Billy in the driver's seat so that we can not only scale the car on each corner, but make sure the anti-roll bar is set perfect. With the new anti-roll bar in place and the car freshly scaled, we should be ready to go tomorrow to National Trails to do a little testing. Friday morning, I decided to get up and go in and visit Mom for a few minutes before I got my day started. It was a week ago last night that she passed away, and this has been my first opportunity to come visit her at the cemetery since the funeral was held Tuesday morning. Some high winds and heavy thunderstorms overnight had knocked some of Mom's flowers over, so I took a few minutes to tidy things up and talk to Mom, and I realized she wouldn't want me to be sad. So, obviously we've been struggling a little bit. Mom's passing was a shock. Nobody expected that to happen when it did. And I was so anxious and nervous about the funeral and the showing. You want everything to be perfect, and it's completely out of your control. Once we finally we got to the showing on, I guess that was, I can't remember what night it was. It was Monday night. The showing was Monday. We got the showing, and the funeral home did a wonderful job. Mom looked so good. The arrangements and everything was wonderful. The flowers, so many of you sent flowers, and I thank you for that. Some of them are still here on the grave. Mom had been having some stomach problems, and she couldn't eat Thursday. She'd been having trouble for about a week, but she couldn't eat anything Thursday night. She went back to the bedroom and laid down on the bed. Dad went back to check on her about 45 minutes later and laid down, and Mom was laying on her side and Dad was laying on his side, and they're facing each other, and Mom woke up and she said, "What do you want, or what?" And and Dad said, "Nothing, I just love you and come to check on you." And she said, "I love you too." And just a few minutes later, she took her last breath. Dad called 911. The paramedics came. They worked on her for 45 minutes to an hour, and there was just nothing they could do. She had drawn her last breath right beside my dad. Her last words were, "I love you," and his last words to her was, "I love you." She died at home in her bed, and I just don't know, you couldn't write a better script for a movie or an ending for a 52-year marriage. We're all very sad that Mom's gone, but we're also very thankful for the way she went. We're also thankful that Dad has plenty of projects in the works up at the farm to keep him busy. For instance, this week, he and Jeremy have been working on his old Alice Chalmers tractor, trying to get it put back together with a new exhaust manifold and intake manifold, a fresh carburetor, and all new fuel lines. Now, I'd be lying if I told you that Mom's death didn't knock the wind out of all of us. The grief comes and goes in waves, unexpectedly. But I can guarantee you that Mom would not want any of us sitting around crying or being sad that she's gone. So we're going to pick ourselves up, dust ourselves off, and do the best we can to get back to doing what we've always done. If Mom was here, that's what she'd want us to do, and she'd already be asking, when will you be posting the next video? So in order to get ready for tonight's test and tune session, I took my spare wheels and tires into Jegs to get a brand new set of drag radials mounted and balanced for tonight's test and tune at National Trail Raceway. All I want to do is go out and make a couple of test hits on motor and just be there. Just experience what it's like to feel normal again and spend some time with my kids. And who knows, if everything goes right, Billy may even make a personal best pass in his Nova tonight. Anyway, once we had everything loaded up and ready to go, me and June Pup hit the road in the Malibu to make our 2.5-mile drive from our house down to National Trails. But we weren't the first ones out the driveway. Tommy and Allison drove the Falcon and the Dart down as well. Once we paid our entries and signed the waiver, we went and found ourselves a nice pit spot, unloaded everything, and me and June Pup went for a ride on the scooter. Once June was satisfied, it was time to start getting all the cars ready to go, get all our tech cards filled out, our car numbers on the windows, and head for the staging lanes. The track was packed full of cars, and they were doing their absolute best to make sure the track surface was as good as it could possibly be for our test and tune tonight. Once they finished working on the track, the timing system staff as well as fire and EMS crew got in position, and it was time to put the water down in the burnout box and fire up the first pair. Unfortunately, Tommy was having some problems with the battery in the Falcon as well as the starter. So while he's back in the pits helping the guys work on the car, Billy brought his Nova up to make his first pass. Billy miscalculated how much air to run in the tires on a prep track. So while he's back in the pits making some changes to his car and getting ready, it's time for me to make my first pass in the Malibu. My first pass, I launched the car at about 1500, and the car left a little lazy, and my reaction time suffered as well. But the Malibu managed to put 1080 at 123 miles an hour on the board. Next up was Allison and her Dart. By this time, Tommy had the Falcon back together, and Billy had brought his Nova back up to make his second hit, which ultimately netted him a new personal best. Meanwhile, I brought the Malibu back into the lanes to make one more hit for the night, leaving at 2,000 RPM to try and get a better reaction time and a little bit faster ET. I managed to get both. The kids took the cars up to Pacemakers Saturday night and went racing, and you can see all that footage on Street Racing Channel. So that brings us to Monday morning, and at the shop we're busy working on my dad's 1980 C10 pickup truck, trying to get the air conditioning charged. Jeremy told me that this thing needed a new compressor, and I ordered one in down at Mark's. So Jeremy went down to nose around in Mark's parts room and find out what, if anything, has come in and if the parts are right.
Oh, the world has gone to hell.
Unfortunately, the compressor that came in wasn't the correct one. You see, Dad's truck has add-on air, and it's not easy to get parts for.
For all you techno whizzes out there, this is called a book. Look, it has information in it. Important information, detailed information.
Well, I couldn't find this book. I know I told you that they didn't make these, but now I see I got pictures and stuff. So, but that doesn't mean I can get it, but at least I got something now that we can work with.
Since Jeremy struck out this morning down at Mark's, he's decided to try a new tactic to fix the air conditioning on my dad's truck. Well, what's the situation here, Buckwheat?
We're gonna blow these lines out, see if it clears up the flow, and then we're gonna try to back it down and fill it up and see if it takes off.
While Buckwheat was trying to flush this system out, I told him I needed to go down and see Mark and pay my parts bill for the month.
Well, while you're down at Chump Holes, I need you to pick up the adapter kits to adapt this from R12 to 134A. They just thread right here on the end of the nipples.
I'm gonna thread on the end of your nipples.
I got something for you to thread on too.
So now, with a new war strategy in place, June Pup and I jump into Malibu to make what seems like a daily trip down to Buckeye Lake to see Mark at A1. I was skeptical when Jeremy started blowing air through those lines because I feel like whatever's in those lines is going to plug the orifice tube. Buckwheat sent me down here for 134A adapters.
Really?
Thankfully, Mark had the fittings I needed in stock. So I took them back to the shop, Jeremy installed them, and began vacuuming the system down and attempting to charge it. Meanwhile, I'm on my way up to Bob's to go visit Billy at the machine shop. Billy's working on a new project up there today, and he sent me a text message asking if I'd come up. Now clearly, this isn't a small block Chevy. Billy's picked up yet another Mustang, this time a 93 Calypso hatch. And just like his 79, it came factory equipped with a 4-cylinder. But he just so happens to have this 408 small block Ford that he raffled off over a year ago that the winner never came and got. It's been sitting in his garage rusting ever since. I figured for sure this engine was stuck, so I was surprised when it turned over freely when I helped him load it in the truck yesterday afternoon. He went ahead and brought it up to Bob's this morning so we can bolt it on an engine stand and take it apart to see what condition the engine's in and what parts are in it. Bob's been staying plenty busy up at the shop working on customer engines like this Pontiac that's sitting on the dyno and Addie's 406 small block for her Malibu. So while Bob's busy working on his own projects, Billy and I dug into this stock block 408 small block Ford ourselves. My biggest concern is that it sat in Billy's shop with spark plugs out of it, unsealed. So I was surprised when we pulled the cylinder heads off to find out that the cylinder walls still look like the day they were new.
It sat in my garage for over a year.
I can't believe it. I thought for sure the cylinder walls would be rusted, this thing would be stuck. The condition of the cylinder walls wasn't the only good news. This engine actually has the same camshaft in it that Billy had in the Stranger Things Mustang, so he plans to use this camshaft and the cylinder heads off his 408 on his yellow car's 302. After we finished up at the machine shop, I headed back towards my house to work on a video and hopefully get it edited and uploaded that night. But unfortunately, life gets in the way sometimes, and I had something else to contend with. So it's Monday night, and my mom's dog has gotten loose somehow up at the farm. Dad and Jeremy's been looking for her. We've had some really strong thunderstorms coming through here the last half hour, 45 minutes or so. And so I'm on my way up to the farm in the Dooley. I'm gonna go up and try and put the drone up now that the storms are out of here. See if I can find her. My mom's border collie has always been skittish and scared of lightning and thunderstorms. Dad had her outside with him late this afternoon when these storms started to roll in, and he lost track of her while he was working out in the shop. At this point, my biggest concern is that if we don't find her before the sun goes down, she may end up wandering around all night, and it's hard to tell how far away she'll get. So I decided to try and use the drone to search the east and west fields, as well as the neighboring properties, to cover as much ground as quickly as possible. With the lightning and thunder continuing into the evening, I figured she'd probably still be on the move and should be easy to spot, as long as the sunlight holds out. As the sun began to set, Jeremy and I decided to start using the headlights on the trucks to search as best we could and hover above the trucks with the drone just in case she might be somewhere we can't see her. We also decided to start looking in all the outbuildings, thinking that maybe she's already taken cover somewhere and we just don't know it. Eventually, Jeremy decided to hop in his S10 and drive next door to my uncle's house to check in his back barn lot where we have found her once before. Sometimes if she sees Jeremy's truck coming up the driveway, she'll run towards it. So I do my best to follow Jeremy's truck with the drone just in case I can spot her while the lightning flashes. After searching both with the truck and on foot for over 45 minutes, we were almost ready to give up. The rain had started to come down harder and harder, and the lightning and thunderstorms seemed to be picking back up. Then, in a stroke of luck, as Jeremy drove back up Mom and Dad's driveway, Belle appears right in front of my truck in the headlights. Wet, muddy, and terribly confused. She ran straight up to Jeremy's truck at the top of the hill, and he took her in the house to give her a bath and get her cleaned up. Welcome back, everybody. So it's Tuesday morning, and let's just say that we still don't have operational air conditioning on Dad's Chevy truck.
The orifice valve blew up. I'm gonna have to figure something out.
Come on, get it out of there already.
Why didn't you tell me the dash wasn't bolted in to begin with?
I didn't know.
Evidently, the blockage we were fighting was in the expansion valve, which eventually exploded, which meant Jeremy had to go back and see Mark.
I need some easy to find parts.
Yeah, I bet you do.
Yeah, it's super easy. It's right here. I got you the part
That's-
number and everything.
Well,
Look at that.
that don't mean nothing.
That's supposed to be the easy button.
Yeah. What happened here? Looks like it had a rupture.
So all that occurred yesterday, but today Jeremy's back to try his hand at getting this thing to work again.
I got your stuff it's right here.
Oh.
Look at that. It's a lot tidier.
Oh, it's
Looks
just like
It
it.
is just like got the little piggy tail thing on the end of it there. And
Look at you go.
yeah, the fittings are right. Everything's right.
I was hoping to finish this video off with ice cold air conditioning in Dad's truck, but unfortunately, there's a chance that that may never happen. So, we're going to go ahead and wrap this video up today and turn it loose. Now what?
Well, we're at the end of the video,
Yes, we're at the
Yes.
end of the video,
which
finally.
is where I get to talk.
Oh,
Just real quick,
All right.
just wanted to remind everybody that we're inching towards the end of July. All orders for the month of July through the 31st gets you a chance to win. Show them back there on the wall.
what?
One
Oh,
of the wooden OMG signs.
okay.
So, we will pick a winner next week.
Next week?
Yeah, like July's going to be over.
Holy
And then we're
crap.
into August. Yeah, I can't believe it. Also, this Friday we're going to Edgewater down near Cincinnati. So
Cincy Street Nights.
Cincy Street Nights.
I'll have the Malibu there. Billy's going to test the Nova. Tommy's racing the Falcon, and Allison's going to take her dart.
How are we going to get everything there? That's like 4 trailers full of stuff.
That's not your problem. What else have you got?
Okay, my problem is the merch. I will have the merch there.
Okay. Are we
So,
good? That
I
it?
think
We're
so.
done?
Now that is all
Oh.
weather dependent. So
Obviously.
obviously, but I have to remind people it could change. So weather dependent on that.
Are we
That's
done?
it. Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.